Alrighty, welcome back to the Mother-Daughter Disney podcast. My name is Amanda, and here's my lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Janette.
The other day we saw the Mufasa movie, the new Mufasa the Lion King. So we're just going to give our review of Mufasa the Lion King. So just for some quick background on the movie was confirmed by Disney in September of 2020 with Barry Jenkins as the director and Jeff Nathanson as the screenwriter. Aaron Pierre and Kelvin Harrison Jr. were soon cast as Mufasa and Taka, who's, going to be Scar eventually. Lin-Manuel Miranda was brought on to write the music, and this is also partially why he did not work on Moana 2, was because he's working on Mufasa already. The first live-action Lion King movie grossed over $1.6 billion worldwide and was the second highest-grossing movie of 2019 when it came out. It was only after the Avengers Endgame. And for reference, Avengers Endgame made over like $2 billion, so for $1.6 billion for an animated film was extremely successful. The first live-action Lion King movie also received multiple Academy Award nominations, so it was no wonder why they wanted to make another live-action Lion King movie, whether it's going to be the sequel, like the actual Lion King 2 movie, or a prequel in this case for Mufasa. So it definitely made sense in that sense. So for some critics' reviews, the movie has overall received very mixed reviews from critics. Some deemed the movie unnecessary because a lot of people said there wasn't really a reason why we needed to see Mufasa's backstory. Other people were saying they wish they had just done the actual Lion King 2 as live action as well, since the Lion King 2 I feel like no one really talks about. So it's like,
I'm not even sure I saw it.
I've seen it before way back when.
Yeah.
I feel like almost the Lion King 1.5 was more popular than Lion King 2, like the 1.5 with Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh,
so
yeah.
In that sense, maybe they should just do the Lion King 1.5 or something like that.
Right.
So a lot of critics were kind of back and forth overall in the movie. Initially, they projected the movie to make $50 million on its first weekend, but after its first day, making only $13.3 million, they lowered the projection to $36 to $38 million. As of recording this, we're still within the first weekend of the movie, so I don't actually know what the movie's going to make, but it is projected to make much lower than the original Lion King movie, as well as they're projecting that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will definitely beat out Mufasa in the Christmas box office this year.
I could see that.
The movie cost about $200 million to produce. I think it still probably will make back the money from what it costs to make the movie, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, they may break even.
Time will tell. So that's all I really have for some backstory there. There wasn't really a lot. They didn't really do a big press release. There wasn't a lot of press tour.
I was surprised you hardly saw anything about it.
Yeah, like unless you're really in the Disney community, there wasn't a whole lot. There was like some commercials, of course, but there was no major press tour. Like for instance, like we've just watched Wicked have one of the biggest press tours, of the century, all the merchandise for it, everything. And Mufasa really did do a whole lot. And it's interesting considering that the original Lion King movie, the animated version from 1994, and even the live action version, they had grossed so much money in merchandise in the movies and DVDs, even streaming as well, that people went to streaming to see these movies. That is interesting that they really didn't put any money behind Mufasa. They kind of, I guess, maybe just expected it to do well because of the movie, like because of the history of the Lion King doing well. So I suppose we'll see. So yeah, up next, so we're going to go into the actual plot of the movie itself now. However, first I thought we would just give our non-spoiler review. So for non-spoiler review, we're just going to say like whether we recommend the movie or not, and then we'll get into the actual plot and more deep dive into our spoiler reviews. So what is your non-spoiler review?
My non-spoiler review is I wasn't impressed. I think I think the CGI was excellent.
Yeah, the animation itself was good.
Excellent. I was surprised how excellent it was. I mean, they really did a good job on that. The rest of the movie, I agree. I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah.
It was okay. For me, I'm not, there were kids in this movie theater, and let me tell you, I would not bring little children.
Yeah.
There was a lot of violence. It was like watching a documentary where it was, the survival of the fittest. And I don't watch those kind of documentaries. So for me personally, I was not into what the storyline entailed. But what the storyline entailed and how it unfolded, I was not a fan. So I think the CGI was good, the music was good, the scenery was very good. I love seeing the animals. We all know if you listen to this podcast that I love the African animals and the whole thing. And it was nice to see that, and some of the underlying music that just brings that feeling when you see them and stuff. That was good. But the storyline, to me, I agree. Unnecessary.
Yeah, I think overall I did enjoy the plot of the movie. I thought it was very interesting how it kind of weaves and ebbs. And so I did enjoy seeing that and seeing, the brothers come together and like why they're torn apart and everything. I feel like that's not a big spoiler because they're obviously not going to be, they're going to end up on, opposite ends of the spectrum. But I thought that was very interesting. I do agree that the movie was much more violent and sad overall. Like it's very sad movie. A lot of things I think are hidden. Like you don't really see like major violence, but there's a lot of like animal fighting fighting within the movie itself. And there's a lot of implied like death in the movie. So there's a lot of like, you know, the animals die, but you don't see the animals die, but it's implied that these animals, you know, died. And so I think that, you know, again, there were a lot of little kids in this movie. I don't necessarily think this movie was marketed as a children's movie either. And I think that's why they didn't market the movie that much, was because I think it was hard to market this movie because it was more for an older audience, but The Lion King itself is a children's movie. So to market this movie to an older audience and make it not a kid's movie, I think is kind of unusual. It's
I think
they're trapped, you know.
Right, because parents, and that's why I said there were a lot of kids, because we went to an afternoon movie, a lot of kids in the movie. There was a couple sitting next to me with a kid. He must have been just a couple of, 4, 5 years old, maybe 5 at the most. He asked the father 50 million questions while he was sitting there. The father kept trying to answer him and trying to tell him to be quiet. It was fine. Didn't bother me. But you could tell that the kid was like, you know, what's going on? And he was asking the father all kinds of questions. I couldn't hear every single thing he was saying. But I guess he was constantly looking at the screen. And then you see when they were fighting, he was like, you know, really like sitting up and, you know, doing whatever. And I'm saying to myself, I don't think I'd bring a 4 or 5 year old to this movie.
Yeah, not like a young child, I would say. I don't necessarily.
No, an older child. Yeah, older.
I think a lot of what goes on would go over a young child's head. Yeah. And also, in my opinion, I found some of the animals a little bit hard to differentiate, especially.
Okay. I thought it was just me.
Especially the lionesses, because the lionesses don't have manes, so they all look kind of like. There's only so much different you can make a lioness look.
Okay, right? I thought it was just me.
Like think about lionesses in real life; they all look kind of the same. So in the movie, they do have different markings on their face and their fur is slightly different. Yeah, but they all look kind of the same.
Okay, I thought. Okay, I didn't mention that yesterday. I struggled when we came out of the movie.
Especially like at the end when you had like some lionesses together that were main characters. I'm like, I could not tell those two apart.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was just me. Okay,
it's like there's no way I'm telling these lionesses apart. Like, and they were main characters in the movie, and I was like,
sitting there going, okay, who is that? What are we doing here? What are they doing?
For the most part throughout the movie, it's obviously it's centered around Mufasa and Taka. So it's like for the most part, it's the male lions, and there's always almost one lioness on screen at a time. So you always knew who the lioness is because there's only one on screen at a time. Like all the main characters have their one moment until the end where some of them come together, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know who they are. It's like I couldn't tell you.
Okay,
so,
all right.
So I feel like in that sense, I think that would be confusing as well for kids. So I feel like they would see that, and like they probably would understand that the voice actor is changing. But I think a young kid would see like almost the same looking character multiple times in the movie and be like, is that the same character?
Same character doing different things.
I think that could be a bit confusing for especially young kids, you know, like under 5. It's like, again, the voices are changing and, you know, the scenery's changing. So I think you can follow along. But I mean, like as an adult, I was still like, these lionesses look very similar, which I don't blame. I think that's a good thing to a certain extent because in real life, they do.
In real life, they really do. Right. That's hardly, you know, the markings.
That's how they look.
I mean,
so that's what a lioness
looks like. Much you can do about it. But I agree. It was so funny because when we walked out of the movie, and Amanda said, well, what did you think? And I looked at her and I said, well, I give it a 50-50. I said, at least I didn't walk out of there like I usually do out of a Disney movie going, oh yeah, it was great. I loved it.
I will say, I did like the music. I thought the music was really fun, very catchy. And again, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a great songwriter. So all the
songs were excellent. Just the way they put the music was excellent. And I liked the fact that they took the original Lion King like score kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and it's like underlying.
At certain times you could hear it underlying when things are going on with the Tree of Life and different things that go on. You can hear that underneath. And anybody who's a Disney fan, which I am of Lion King and Animal Kingdom and whatever, that underlying tone keeps you in. Like keeps you understanding what you're looking at. Yeah.
Because you're watching Mufasa's story like build type of thing. So it's like that music is building with them, which is really nice. So I
thought they did a good job on the movie.
I think there's a lot of great like thematic elements to it. Like there's a lot of thematic elements of family and brotherhood and life and like the overall circle of life and what that means. Right. So I really like that a lot.
Yeah, they didn't skimp. They didn't skimp on that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I think it was a good movie. I just don't think it's for kids. And I think Disney struggled to market this movie properly because it's like hard to say this is not a kid's movie when almost every Disney movie is a kid's movie at its core.
Right.
So
every Disney movie has sad times in it, different things that go on that, you know, death and dealing with the death of a parent or this one or that one or whatever. This one just seemed to be, it was real life. And unfortunately, you have to go in with that idea. Yeah. And like I said, I don't watch real life documentaries like that because I don't want to see them. I don't.
If you have, you know, they can be very sad. That, you know, the circle of life.
Right.
The circle of life is
you have
to
go in with that in your mind. And if you go in with that in your mind and you watch it, and that's what I did. I watched it for what it was. Yeah. Like when I saw what was happening, it's not like I said, I just watched it for what it was. And they did do a good job.
Well, let's get into our spoiler review now. Let's go through the actual plot of the movie. So we're going to break down the overall plot. I have like 2 pages of the plot. All right, so the movie opens up and they do a dedication to
James L. Jones.
Yeah, James L. Jones, who did pass away a few years ago, who was the original voice of Mufasa. And that little tidbit at the very beginning was James Earl Jones from the original movie as well. They do that, which I thought was really lovely to say that, especially as a nod to, they're doing a whole movie about Mufasa, and the original voice actor unfortunately has passed away. So the movie opens up then with Simba and Nala are expecting their second child, and they leave their firstborn, Kiara, in the hands of Pumbaa, Timon, and Rafiki. It's kind of funny because we have seen Kiara. She is the main character of The Lion King too. So seeing her as a little tiny cub was actually really cute to see as a little baby.
Yes.
So Kiara is scared of the oncoming storm, and she doesn't understand why her parents had to leave. I guess they didn't tell her that they were going to have a second child, maybe in case it didn't go well. I don't know.
I thought in a minute there, I thought that was a little confusing too, because you saw that the lioness was going to have a baby.
Yes.
And she kind of gets into a little cubbyhole and tells Mufasa, "I'm here."
Yeah. Yeah, she like goes
I didn't
off.
get that till later.
Yeah, that's how lions have their children, that they go off on their own to have their
Right.
children. So like they isolate themselves. So again, that's just going, I guess, to be real lions. But I do agree, it's not necessarily clear what's
They
going
don't
on.
make it clear, yeah.
And I think it's not supposed to be clear either. I think if you know, you know. But if you don't know, then it's like, again, because Kiara...
It comes together at the end.
Yeah, Kiara is like, what
Right.
are they doing? Like, she
Yeah.
doesn't really understand. They didn't tell her. And I
Right.
think the audience, is like a young kid, is not going to realize that lion's pregnant.
Right.
You know? It's like you're not going to see it, that lion to be...
Right.
Even for an adult, the belly's a little bit bigger. But I mean, like, she's
Yeah.
still a lion. It's not like a human being. You
Right.
recognize a human pregnancy. So, yeah, so they go off, they leave. And Rafiki... And so, again, Kiara's scared of the storm. She's really nervous about it. And Rafiki assures her that fear is felt by everyone. And at first, she doesn't really believe him, of course. And then he tells her, like, I'll tell you a story of your grandfather. So he launches in this whole story. Now, the whole movie is intercut between the story of Mufasa and Rafiki telling the story to Kiara with, like, comedic relief scenes of Timon and Pumbaa, like, kind of jutting it as well. I'm not going to go into any of those scenes because, honestly, it doesn't really affect the plot at all.
It's just comic relief.
But yeah, but it does technically jump back and forth between Kiara, Rafiki, Timon, and Pumbaa and the actual story of Mufasa. So somewhere unknown, I'm assuming somewhere in Africa, Mufasa and his parents are a small pride of just 3, and there is a year-long drought. When it finally rains, Mufasa gets caught in a flash flood that takes him far away from his parents. It's a very violent scene, honestly, very scary when he gets taken away. So a couple days later, basically, he's still floating along on a log, and this crocodile is about to attack him, but another lion cub on land named Taka saves him. He's basically able to inspire to inspire Mufasa to swim to the shore. He helps pull him up. Taka is presented us as a very joyful, he's very energetic, very teasing, very loving. That's kind of his little personality. And his mother, Eshe, she comes, and even though she originally does not want Mufasa to join their pride because she says they're king and Taka's father would never accept this stray, Eshe's like, fine, he can come. Let's just see what Obasi says, the king. So to prove himself, Mufasa and Taka race when, even though Mufasa is likely not going to win, Taka kind of lets him win so that he'll be welcomed into the pride. Although Obasi can tell that Taka kind of like let Mufasa win, so he's kind of pissed at his son to be like, you're the next king. You should have won, like your first champion. So even though he's not really welcomed into the pride, Obasi says that he can stay with the females and then, be more or less raised by Eshe and the female lionesses. So Mufasa and Taka literally instantly become brothers and best friends. And then over the years, Eshe teaches Mufasa to hunt, as the lionesses are the hunters of the pride and the male lions are usually the protectors of the pride. So while on a hunt, Taka secretly trails him because he's kind of upset that he's like, how come I can't do the fun stuff Mufasa gets to do, type of thing. And so he secretly trails them, which then allows these 2 white lions, these 2 white male lions, to follow them basically. And when they follow them, they ended up attacking them. Mufasa saves Eshe's life and he kills one of the other male lions in the process, and then it forces the other white lion to flee. So because again, Taka was trailing them, that's why the white lions were able to find them in the first place. And Taka also flees as well in fear when they start getting attacked by these white lions. So the white lion's pride is referred to as the Outsiders. The Outsiders is a large pride of white lions led by their king, Kiros. And Kiros swears vengeance against the lion who killed his son. Now, at first, I didn't realize Mufasa killed that lion. I was like, that was not clear at all because it happens very fast.
Yes, you don't realize
I would say it's the only on-screen death that you really... Actually, no, there's another one later in the movie. But it's like the first on-screen death because it happens so fast that, as she says, go for the throat. Like she says that.
Yeah,
and then he kind of attacks him and he falls. And then he goes to save Eshe. And then it all happens so fast that you don't realize that lion died because then the other white lion leaves. But I thought he was just like running away. Like I didn't know he left because that other lion died. So I was like, all right, didn't see that coming. I was just like, okay. So he leaves. So Kiros, again, the king of the Outsiders, the white lions, he wants vengeance for his son. And then they literally just killed that other male lion. Like that's what I was saying. Like I thought that was quite violent.
Yes, because he comes back and says
because
he
he's
couldn't
saying
help it.
Yeah, that he's such a coward that he left like his son to die.
Right, he left my son to die and you came back fine and they end up killing him.
Yeah, so they
it's
just
like a
killed
mobster
him.
movie.
That's what I'm saying. Well, apparently they were inspired by The Godfather 2 for this movie.
Yes.
In the plot when I was reading about it. So it is very
really?
Godfather
Okay, that's what I
2
just said. Like a mobster movie. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's like, that was the first time when I was watching this, I was just like, wow, that's actually very violent that they're just going to kill this lion because, like, he left someone else to die.
I sat back and said, oh, God.
So then you see all the lionesses kind of circling this one male lion, and then it kind of just zooms out, and then that's it, you know? But I think, I don't know, I felt like that was very violent, honestly, to, like, see some, like, just cold blood murder murder in that sense. Like, it's not like murder for protection or anything like that. Like, they just literally murdered that line.
Yes, just well, it's a mobster movie. They murdered him because he said, you came back and my son didn't. You were responsible for him.
So now Mufasa and Taka go back, and Eshe go back to like their pride, and Obasi realizes that he knows about the outsiders. He had heard rumors of the outsiders are these really large lions that will come and they're destroying all the prides like in the area. And he realized that the outsiders will actually come for Taka. Even though Mufasa is the one who killed his son, he will want royal blood for royal blood, and Taka is his heir. So he forces his son and Mufasa to flee together. He's like, you guys have to leave together. You're not gonna stay here because they'll kill you. And so Eshe reassures both of her sons, Mufasa saying that it's best that he leaves because she knows that his family is still out there. She's like, I know your family's lost. We've talked about your family your whole life, raising you. And she's like, I know they're out there somewhere and you need to go find them. And they specifically talk about Milele. So this was in the very beginning, that first scene in the movie, that Mufasa's mother was telling him that this promised land called Milele. At first, Milele is hinted at to be like heaven is what I thought it was. They said it's the land beyond the light. And that's what they kept referring it to. So I thought it was like, oh, like when you pass away, you go to Milele type of thing. It's not. It's like a real place. Like we actually get to Milele.
Yeah, real valley where there's water and
it's like I really
because
thought
they had to go
heaven.
over a mountain range to get.
Yeah, for sure. So she says like you need to go and search for Milele and find your family. So that's what he gets. And she also assures Taka as well that she's not upset that he fled from the fight earlier and that his moment of courage will come. So his father kind of takes when he fled from the fight differently, saying that it's just like, because he's like, we're going to lie to the pride and say you didn't flee from the fight. And Taka is like, well, that's being deceitful. And he tells him, he's like, well, sometimes as a king, you need to be deceitful type of thing.
His father wasn't a very good role model from the
wasn't.
very beginning. So
anyway, so the outsiders come, they sing this song. That's actually probably my favorite song in the movie. Is that song they sing. And then I kid you not, they massacre Obasi's and Eshe's pride. Like they all just are implied to be dead. It's like, okay. That was another part that I was like, you don't see it on screen, of course, but it's just implied that it's like this whole pride was massacred. And it's like, okay, that's very sad, honestly.
You find out in the end, right?
Yeah, so Mufasa and Taka, they go on the run and they immediately run into a stray lioness, and this ends up being Sarabi, which of course is Simba's mother. And so she's with her hornbill advisor Zazu, and Sarabi says that she was also very recently separated from her pride when they were also being attacked by the outsiders, because again, the outsiders have been eliminating all the prides in the overall area. So she's been, and she's also the princess of her tribe, so to speak. They literally call her that. So yeah, so she joins in with them, and then they immediately run into Rafiki. The whole band's getting together right now. Within a matter of minutes, they all find each other, and we get a little backstory of Rafiki that he was exiled by his family due to being a little bit odd. Like he has his visions. He's kind of strange. He speaks in riddles, and so all the other, I guess they're all mandrills, is what he says. They
kept
like
calling him
though.
A monkey and a baboon. He kept saying, I'm a mandrill.
Yeah. So they all exile him, being like because they're in the trees. It's like he can't be up here in the trees. He has to go to the land. Right. So his mother also wishes him well, and he sends off.
He's off on his own. So all these misfits now are together.
Yes, and he's been having visions of Milele. Like he knows Milele is out there, and he's like, I'm going to Milele because he has his vision of the tree of life with his brother beneath it. He says, I'm going to go be reunited with my brother, is what he says. And so when he says that, Mufasa, again, he's obsessed with the idea of Milele and trying to find his family. So he's like, all right, we're going to follow Rafiki to Milele. That's our goal. Immediately, Taka is attracted to Sarabi. He's kind of awkward talking to her. He doesn't really know what to do. He's kind of a strange lion, which is okay. I mean, like if you think about it, it's like, and he says too, Mufasa grew up with the lionesses. He's like, I never got to talk to the lionesses. Like, how do you talk to girls type of thing. So they have a cute little scene. They are then immediately tracked down by the outsiders. Right. So the outsiders find them. Sarabi uses a beehive to scare a herd of elephants, which works, but she gets hurt in the process, and Mufasa is able to save her and save her life. But he later tells Sarabi that it was Taka who saved her because he knows that Taka has this little crush on her. In the final leg of the journey, Milele is crossing these huge snowy mountains, like my mom mentioned. So Mufasa encourages Zazu to fly behind them and to use his wings to cover their tracks in the snow, because he realizes that the outsiders will find them very quickly because they're walking through snow. It's pretty obvious where they are. And this just literally works. So it works. So the outsiders can't find them. They're lost in the mountain. Right. And as they travel, Sarabi puts the pieces together that she realizes, this is a little bit early before, but it was Mufasa who recognized the scent of the flowers on her fur, realizing where she came from.
Plus she heard him use the phrase, I got you.
Yeah, just saying she realized it was Mufasa who saved her from the elephants. And she also realized too that Mufasa has very sensitive senses. This is earlier in the movie too, when Eshe's teaching him how to hunt, that he's very sensitive to smells and scent. He's able to tell where certain things are. Like he's able to hunt very well.
Right.
And so she realized that it's been Mufasa the whole time that's actually been kind of protecting her and seeing her for who she is. And so they immediately start to bond, and they have a whole little love song together.
And as an adult, I sat back and said, okay, I know what's coming. Here comes another.
You could tell immediately.
Here comes another movie theme.
As soon as Taka was just like, oh, I kind of like Sarabi. I'm like, well, we know Sarabi is Simba's mother.
Right. So yeah, we know that's not happening.
We
said, okay, another movie theme coming.
So Taka sees them bonding and is immediately jealous and hurt that Mufasa would take Sarabi from him. And then he literally just flips like a switch. He's just I hate Mufasa. Right. And he blames Mufasa for everything. He literally just flips and realizes Mufasa is the reason for the death of his father, the death of his whole family. He's the reason why father on this journey. He's also jealous of his intelligence and his leadership skills. Again, Mufasa
Well,
was
his
the one
father
who covered the tracks.
already put that in his mind because he tells him all the way back in the
Oh
beginning.
yeah, that the stray will be the death of you or something
this
like
stray
that.
is going to betray you.
Yes. Oh
And
yes, that's what he
that's
says.
the word
They
he
will betray
used.
you.
This stray will betray you in the end. And that's what happens here is that he all of a sudden starts
he feels
realizing.
betrayed by Mufasa.
Yes, I'm being betrayed by,
Yes. No,
who
I
I thought
definitely
was my
agree.
brother.
Yeah, so he's kind of, again, if you think about it too, they're young, so
Yes.
it's like he's being
Like I
blinded
said,
by
another
his
movie
emotions.
theme. Okay.
So it definitely makes sense that he's feeling jealous and super upset, of course. And then I like too in this animation as well, as this is all kind of happening, you see his stance and his eyes kind of change as
Yes.
he's becoming from Taka into Scar.
Into a evil.
Because the Scar walks a very certain way in
Yes.
comparison to the other lines, and he's starting to do that. You can kind of see like transformation.
Yeah,
of him
even his
becoming
coloring,
Scar.
everything is different on
sure.
him, so that you know there's a difference between him and Mufasa.
So Taka then he falls down the mountain, and then which was kind of random, but when he falls down the mountain, he kind of runs into the outsiders, and he secretly meets with Kiros, again the king lion of the outsiders and his pride, and he tells him he also wants revenge on Mufasa too, and he swears his allegiance to Kiros. So Mufasa and the group make it to Milele. Again, Milele is a real place. That was the biggest shock to me. That was Milele.
Oh
was
yeah,
a
they
real
come over that
place.
hill and there's Milele.
I really thought Milele was heaven. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like a real place. Okay. And so Taka leaves a little trail for the outsiders to follow them. Rafiki gets to his famous tree. And the whole time he kept saying that he had a vision of the tree with his brother beneath it. And Mufasa feels for him because like, oh, like your brother's not here. Like, where is he? And Rafiki turns to me. He's like, actually, like you are my brother. Like that's what this whole vision was. And now you're beneath the tree. And it's like, we've become brothers over this journey. So, and then I kid you not, they're there in Milele for 2 seconds. And then the outsiders come.
Right. They've been right on their trail the whole time.
And the other animals are kind of pissed, and they're like, dude, you brought this pride that we've all been running from, that we've all been trying to find
You brought them
sanctuary
here.
from, and you brought them right here. Like, this is not our problem. But Mufasa is able to rally all the animals in Milele, and he says if they don't fight back now, the outsiders will simply come from them next. Like, there's, they have to start fighting back and protect what's theirs and protect Milele for themselves. So Mufasa and Kiros fight, and then as they fight, he learns of Taka's betrayal, that he's the one that led the outsiders to them. Very long story short, they end up in a cave, and then Taka starts to feel kind of bad about this. He's kind of like, well, maybe I made a mistake type of thing, as we all realize, when it's too late. So he jumps in front of Mufasa as Kiros is like about to swipe him, and that's how he gets the scar over his eyes.
his
That Kiros
face,
gives him
right.
the scar. So Mufasa and Kiros fall into the water in the cave, and Mufasa is able to escape, and then a rock falls into the water, and the rock basically just like drowns Kiros. Like it just brings him down. Kiros is trying to drown him as well, but
Right.
it's like the rock falls on Kiros and he can't get out.
He's gone, right?
So Mufasa swims back up, and you do see Taka hesitate to help Mufasa, but he does pull him out of the water. So Rabi and the other lionesses in Milele fight the other lionesses along with all the other animals. Of course, they win. It is a Disney movie after all. And then the animals of Milele start deeming Mufasa the king of Milele. And he's very reluctant at first. He's like, no, I'm not a king. I wasn't born of royal blood or anything like that. But earlier in the movie, Eshe had told Obasi that a king is not taken, that it is earned. And so here it's like we're really seeing Mufasa earn the fact that he is the king of Milele. He then smells his family. Like, she's just walking. He just like smells his mom out of nowhere.
Every once in a while, during the movie, he would say, it's like just something I can't
like he
explain.
smells
I
home.
smell
Yeah.
something. I smell home.
So one of the lionesses here is his mother, Afia, from the beginning of the movie. We do find out that his father did not make it. We don't really learn how, but he didn't make it.
But he asks his mother, and she just doesn't answer him.
And his
so-
mother assures him that she always knew that they would be reunited. So here they are being reunited here in Milele. This was the point when Sarabi and Afia were next to each other. I was just like, I could not tell them
Couldn't tell them apart.
I was like,
I think one of them had a little bit more gray around her eyes, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's like we've watched Sarabi this whole
She
movie.
aged well.
And I was like, they look the same. They're the same size. All
Yes.
these lionesses
Yes.
look the same.
Right.
It's like I cannot tell them apart. Even if they put Eshe next to them, would not tell any of the three of those girls apart. Like, so sorry to the girls. But I was like, yeah, that was the tricky part there. So Taka then immediately seeks forgiveness for his betrayal. And while everyone wants Mufasa to exile Taka, he's like, no, I don't want to do that. But he's just upset in the moment. He says, like, I feel like I can't even say your name. And Taka says, well, don't say my name ever again. Only refer to me as Scar from now on, as that will be a reminder of my betrayal to you. And then he kind of just like walks away.
Yeah, but you also see in his face that,
that he's, like,
this was
upset.
all
Yeah.
this was all like, okay, he thinks I'm his friend now, but
For
that's
sure,
not
because it's one of those
happening.
things in Taka's mind. He's like, I
Yes.
saved your life. I brought you into my pride.
Right,
It's
twice
like,
I saved you. Right.
Yeah, it's like I did all this stuff for you, and here you now you've become king when I was supposed to be the heir. You've taken Sarabi when like she was the princess. Like I should have been
Yes,
with
jealousy.
her. It's like now you found your family while my family has been killed. So it's just like the kind of back and forth between that betrayal, the jealousy, but also let's remember remember, it's like Taka blames Mufasa, but it was Taka who followed Mufasa and Eshe to that hunt.
Right.
If he didn't follow them, then the white lions would not have been able to trail Mufasa and Eshe, because again, Taka is not a hunter. That's why.
And the second time they couldn't have found him if he didn't leave all the trails.
That's what I'm saying. So it really all started actually
like
with
everything else. He
with
didn't blame himself, right? He just put everything on Mufasa.
No, for sure. Like he
wasn't good enough to be king. Like you can tell right from the beginning, like you said, where he was scared to fight. He ran away.
He was a coward multiple times.
He was a coward multiple times. I mean, his father didn't help by teaching him. What he did is just tell him, "We're going to lie for you because you're supposed to be king."
Yeah.
So his father wasn't a very good role model. So, like
he was
I said,
set up for failure in that sense.
He was set up. Like I said, at the end, you looked at it and said, "This cub had no
like
chance."
If you think of Simba, like Simba had a good father, and that's why Simba was able to rally back again. In
true
the end.
love of a good family and mother and father and whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of feel bad for Taka in that sense, but at the same time, it's also like, well, dude, it's like sometimes you need to take accountability for our actions.
Right.
So it's like, I am sorry that your whole family was like massacred by this other lion, these other lions. But also then to not blame those lions, it's like they're the ones who killed your family. Mufasa wasn't the one who actually killed them. But anyway, Mufasa walks up into Pride Rock. They had this whole earthquake, then Pride Rock just like becomes
the whole that whole rock just falls.
Yeah,
I said, oh, look at that, they just built Pride Rock.
It just comes out of nowhere, honestly, during this earthquake, and it was like, okay.
Well, because Rafiki, once or twice they had an earthquake, because Rafiki says, and the earth is going to shake, and you realize that that's what it is. It's earthquakes happen.
For sure. So so Pride Walk just pops up out of nowhere. Mufasa walks up, he roars, he becomes the king of Milele. Right. Then we jump back to the present, and that's when Simba and Nala rejoin Kiara, and they introduce her to her new baby brother, and that's when you see the baby brother, and that's how the movie ends. So that's the full circle right there.
Right.
I think you realize technically though that it's like Mufasa and Taka or Scar are both dead within actually like the beginning and the end of that movie, because Scar killed Mufasa and then Simba killed Scar.
Right.
So like both these lions are actually all have passed away.
Right. You know what's going to happen.
We don't know what
happened
to Sarabi. I guess we can assume Sarabi is still alive, even though we don't see her. But I don't know. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that was the movie. So again, a lot of I guess it's also implied too that all the white lions were killed during that fight. I know they don't necessarily say what happened to them, but there were a lot of white lions. So there's a lot of lion death within this movie. So a lot of lions, are killed. Some lions we actually saw get trampled by those elephants in the stampede.
Yes, in the stampede, because like I said, it is true life. I mean, unfortunately, it is true life. That's how things are out there on the savannah and whatever. When they're out there, it's through the survival of the fittest, of who can do what they need to do.
Even animals getting lost. Like I thought that was a very like sad theme as well.
Yes.
It's just like the fact
that's always
that
a sad theme.
Immediately Mufasa got separated from his family and just lost the whole movie.
Just lost by
trying
himself,
to find
having
his
to
way
make
home.
his own way.
For sure, that he always felt like a strain, an outsider himself. Like all these characters all felt like outsiders themselves, having to band together until they they make it to Milele.
That's one of the reasons I won't watch Fox and the Hound.
Yeah,
when she's that little old lady leaves that fox, the hound sitting by himself on that road and leaves him and goes away, and that hound is just sitting. I can't take it. It starts off the movie and I can't take it.
That's what I'm saying. Like this movie had a lot of sad themes about it. It was very, there's a lot of,
very emotional,
a lot of animal violence, a lot of sadness within the family, a lot of death,
a lot of tugging at your heartstrings,
a lot of death. I would say.
Yes.
I mean, like life as well, of course, too. Like her, Kiara's brother is born as well.
It was life. It's just the way life runs. Like you said, different parents, different upbringings, different influences, different people who react to their situations. It was all the classic themes put together. And like I said, other than the fact that, like I said, the CGI was so good that they put all these themes in. Now, if the CGI wasn't good and they put all these themes together, I think people would be going like, don't bother going, because it's just not worth it. Because it's like you said, it's so confusing in certain places. But it all came together. It was an entertaining movie. It was very nice to watch. Like I said, but if you don't like that kind of theming, I wouldn't go.
Yeah. Again, overall, I thought it was good, at least for like a one-time watch.
Oh yeah, I won't watch it again.
I don't know if I would watch it again. I did like a lot of the music. I probably will listen to the album at least once and pick out my favorite songs and listen to the songs again. Because again, overall, there were a lot of songs in the movie. It's hard when you see a movie for the first time that it's like which songs are the standouts.
Yes, it's hard to
because it's like overwhelming to a certain extent.
You're trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah, like there's so like you're trying to follow the plot. You're trying to tell the lionesses apart. You're trying to listen to the dialogue, listen to the actual lyrics to understand what's going on in this. And so it's hard to just enjoy the music for what it is. So I know for sure, like when I listen to the album again, I'll probably pick out some more favorites.
Different music, right?
The initial one I really liked as we were watching was that villain song, the Bye Bye song. Like I don't know why I thought that one was really catchy when I was listening to it. It's just like I do like it.
I thought most of the music was good.
And then those lions massacred a whole other pride of lions, which is like, it's so violent. But,
I know.
But yeah, so I think that one was the initial favorite of mine when I watched it. And I did like Mufasa and Sarabi's song as well, their little love song that they had. So I thought that was really cute too. And then I don't know, do you have a favorite character of the movie?
No, I think they're all the same to me. Like when you're watching it, I don't think I picked out one that was my favorite. I mean, the little cub is cute. That was cute. I don't have a favorite. favorite.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard to pick out a favorite too
Yeah.
right now. I would say I like most movies sometimes usually like the main characters usually my favorite. So I
yeah,
probably would
think it
say
would be
Mufasa.
probably be my emotions hitting me that Simba's parents were like my favorite because of the way they treated him, the way they talked to him, the way they tried to like, introduce him to what was around him and stuff. But that's just an emotional tie. That's not,
Yeah. No, yeah, because I did like seeing Mufasa's overall arc of his characters, how he's building as his character. And then, it's one of those things too where I think a lot of people said the movie was unnecessary. I suppose you could say that, but I did think it was interesting that when you see the first Lion King movie, that everyone's telling Simba that Mufasa is a really great king. He's done all these great things. And we see a little bit of that in
Right,
the Lion King.
yeah.
But in this movie, you really see like how he really earned becoming a king, how much he struggled in his own life to become who he is, and how he still remained compassionate, throughout it all, whereas Taka did not remain
Well, I
compassionate.
think when they say that it wasn't necessary, I don't think there's a lot of people who will actually say, gee, I want to know what happened, how Mufasa got there.
Yeah, no, that- yeah, yeah, I feel
I think
that.
that's what they're referring
Yeah.
to. Like, did they have to spend $200 million to make this movie? No. They could have given a little backstory in one of the sequels or something.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like I said.
I feel like eventually they're probably going to do a Mufasa backstory. So it's like I feel like at one point this was going to happen. So
Yeah.
might as well be now,
Right.
type of thing. And I don't know. I thought it was good. It was fun. But yeah, while I watched it again, maybe not. It's hard because I do love cats so much in a general sense. I love cats. I love cats. So it was fun to just watch cats for 2 hours. Hanging out.
No, it's too much violence in there for me, so I'm
But
not
it is
watching
sad
it
when
again.
when half the kitties die.
Yes,
So that is
not
the hard
watching
part.
it again.
All right. Any other final thoughts for The Lion King?
No.
All right, awesome. Yeah, well, let us know if you decide to go see Mufasa, what you thought of it. Did you bring your kids? Were they scarred for life after all the animal death? Or are you going to go watch a real lion documentary?
Most likely
now?
I was more scarred than some of the kids in that movie theater.
Oh, for sure. So, well, yeah, it's interesting because like lion prides are very interesting when you get into actual nitty gritty of like lion
And I got a
prides,
feeling
but-
that some of those kids, like you said, when they saw those fights with the lions, they just thought it was like, oh, wow, they're fighting.
Yeah,
and
I think a lot of things would just go over your head.
I think some of the stuff probably went over their head.
Yeah, for sure. But so let us know what you thought of the movie, if you liked it, if you saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3 instead. Did you go, I think they should call it Sonic 3. I don't really know what the movie's
Yeah, I
called.
don't know what it's
I'm not a
called.
big Sonic fan. I think Sonic is cool, but I'm not a huge Sonic fan overall. But let us know if you saw Sonic. I did hear the movie was good, Sonic. So
Jelly
I'm sure
Roll
it's
does
doing well.
I don't know if he does the whole soundtrack, but Jelly Roll has I saw the video for
He's in it.
Jelly
like
Roll. for
Keanu
that
Reeves
movie.
plays
It was
Shadow,
good.
and Shadow is an infamous character
Oh,
within
really?
the
Yeah.
Sonic franchise. So, so now we're talking about Sonic. But anyway, so let us know what you thought about Mufasa. Sonic as well, if you want to talk about Sonic, that's totally fine too. Would love to know. This is normally when we go into our Disney news, but we're not going to do any Disney news today because this is our final episode of the year. So, yeah, there isn't really a whole lot of Disney news. I think the biggest thing is that the Disney Polynesian DVC resorts are officially open. So they're open, they're booking. There's been lots of good reviews on it, lots of positive reviews on the restaurants and the lobby and the pools and the play areas and everything that people seem to really be enjoying it so far. So that sounds good. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head that I saw. I feel like that was the big news. There's some Disney cruise ship news, but I would say nothing too major overall. Just some things about the Disney Treasure since it's going on its maiden voyage soon. So that will be exciting to see. Lots of new stuff for the new year. A lot of rides closing. I think that's the biggest news.
A lot of refurbishments, yes.
Yeah, they're doing lots of refurbishments across all of Disney World and Disneyland. So lots of rides are closing for, different periods of time for refurbishments or different things, especially too as Disney is getting ramped up to start doing the renovation in Magic Kingdom for the Villains Land. So I'm sure too we'll see more closures and more of those walls going up.
Walls going up.
Yeah, in Magic Kingdom for Villains Land. So that will be exciting when that happens. Also for Frontierland when they change it to that Cars area, when they take away Tom Sawyer's Island. So a lot of things will be changing soon in the park. So exciting to see those changes. I am looking forward to it. But no major Disney news as of right now at the very least. So we do have one final Disney birthday for the year is Camilo Madrigal on December 28th. And then of course we do have Christmas and Hanukkah starting. Well, Hanukkah starts on the evening of December 25th and Christmas of course is on December 25th. And then Kwanzaa starts December 26th.
I thought it started today. They said something about it on the news this morning.
No, Hanukkah starts on the evening of December 25th this year.
Oh, wow. I thought Kwanzaa started today.
No, Kwanzaa starts the day after Christmas this year. At least on my calendar, that's what it says.
Oh, okay.
So.
They said something about something this morning. That's why I thought it started today. Okay.
Yeah, well either way, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, happy anything that you were celebrating, and also Happy New Year since we will not have an episode the week between Christmas and New Year's. That is our one little week that we'll take off. But we will be back New Year's week. So we'll come back New Year's week though. So we'll be back then. But yeah, do you have any other Disney memories you want to share for the podcast? Our final episode of the year, 2024. Next year's going to be a big year.
All the memories. Just when you think back and everything, like you said, when you say, "Oh, share a memory for the year," when they do those montages on the, it's like your mind starts thinking, and all those little visions come through your head
Did you
of
have
all
a
the
favorite
fun things
episode of
we
the year
did.
that we did this year?
Favorite episode.
I was thinking, you remember.
Oh,
I have the list right in front of me.
I know
but-
you have a list right in front of you. I can't even think
Yeah, I
about
can
it.
cheat,
Yeah,
so.
you can cheat. No,
Yeah,
I think just like I said, when you say something like that, the end
I
of
love
year.
when you got sorted into your Hogwarts house. That was not a Disney Disney episode. That was fun.
Well, that and plus, yeah, because what was I? This evil snake, and then what? Wait a minute, I was the evil snake and a dragon or whatever it was.
My mom was sorry into Slytherin house.
Yes, okay, I was a slithering snake, and then
And
when
I
we
think
did
her Patronus was also a snake
okay,
too.
well, let's just get straight. When we did the what Disney character you are, I was Pumbaa.
No, you got some Disney.
She got a princess. I was Pumbaa.
Okay, I got a queen. I got Elsa.
Okay,
first of
excuse
all.
me. She got a queen.
But you did get princesses later on when we did some of those quizzes. They were fun. But it's so funny because I told Ted that. I told my fiance the other day. I was just like, oh yeah, when we started my mom into Hogwarts house, I asked her, I was like, what do you think she would be? And he was like, I don't know. It's like maybe Gryffindor. I'm like, no, she got Slytherin. He started laughing so loud.
Of course he did.
It was so funny. He's like, oh yeah, I could see her in Slytherin.
See, I'll get him for that.
Because I always thought we need to have Dad take that quiz. Maybe today I'll.
I know. Let's have him take it.
Because I always thought my dad would be in Slytherin because Slytherin really values family and tradition and loyalty, and I feel like my dad's a very traditional type man, so I feel like he would be Slytherin. But I could also see my dad being Gryffindor or
okay.
Ravenclaw.
Let's give him the quiz and see what he turns out
We'll
to
see.
be.
For
That was
reference,
so funny.
I'm a Gryffindor. My fiance is also Gryffindor, and
Sure.
my brother is Hufflepuff.
Yes,
So,
and I'm the Slytherin.
there's nothing wrong with Tyler's a Slytherin too.
Okay, okay.
Tyler's a very proud Slytherin. So.
Slytherin and Pumbaa.
But that was fun just because I had never known that. What
Yeah,
else?
no, like I said,
Oh,
my
you went
mo-
to Ireland this year. We did your Ireland recap trip.
Yeah,
That
my
was
island recap.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode as well. I mean, like we went to Disney twice this year, which was also really fun. I'm just looking. We celebrated our 1 year podcast in March, so
That's
in
right.
next March we'll celebrate
Can't
our
believe
2
we've been
year
doing it that
podcast,
long,
which is fun.
right? I was just telling somebody the other day about it, and I said, my daughter came and asked me, Mom, I want to do a Disney podcast, and I want you to do it with me. Well, to this day, I have not re-listened to any of our podcasts because, as we all know, I've told Amanda I do not like my voice and my laugh, so I don't want to hear it on the microphone.
Yes.
So I laughed. My friend said, "You don't listen?" I said, "No." But I said, "Oh my God, we've been doing it." But I said I couldn't tell my daughter no. She wants to do something with me, so we do have a good time.
Well, it's one of
a lot
those moments I tell anyone, even at work as well, because my work also has a podcast. And a lot of people say they hate the sound of their voice. And I tell them, it's like, I hate to break it to you, but this is just what your voice sounds like.
Yes, I know. Yeah, but I don't want to be reminded.
A lot of people just don't know. Yeah.
It's like when I look at a picture and it reminds me what I look like.
No,
I don't
for
want to
sure.
know.
When I started vlogging and doing my own things, I also disliked it at first, but then I feel like I just got used to the sound of my own voice and realized like that's just what I sound like.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. It is what it is.
Right. But I do like doing the podcast.
We have some fun episodes planned,
Yes.
especially for the new year. So make sure you definitely subscribe to the podcast, whether it be here, wherever you're listening, or on YouTube or something like that.
Right.
We do still have our vlogs from our November trip that's going to be coming up. I need to finish editing my marathon, my Richmond and Virginia marathon trip. So I haven't finished editing that, which is why the
Amanda's been
vlogs
very,
take
very
a
busy.
while. But I think one episode my brother will also be in it. My brother has never been in a podcast episode. He expressed interest in being on the podcast.
Yes, he's going to be here for Christmas.
So yes, I do have an episode slotted for him to be in. Our first episode, I think, of the new year is going to be Luke's episode. So we may be doing that, which will be super exciting to hear my brother's perspective. So perhaps that. We have a few more, exciting episodes I have planned for the new year. Of course, we are going to Disney next year as well. But we're going to Disney. I'm running the Princess Half Marathon next year, which will be really fun. So
Yes.
so lots of stuff is going to be planned for next year. I'm getting married next year, so we'll have lots of things. My parents are going to Italy next year.
Yes,
So we'll have lots of fun episodes in the new year.
Right.
But for sure. But until then, we will see everyone real soon. And
Hope you have a good holiday.
yeah, we hope everyone has a good holiday and happy new year. All right, see you. Bye-bye.